What if the quiet janitor you pass by every day now was hiding a secret that could change everything? Tonight, you'll see how a single dad with a mop shocked the entire company when he spoke fluent Japanese to the CEO. Trust me, you don't want to miss this. So make sure to hit that like button and subscribe right now, because this story will touch your heart and leave you speechless. The night shift had become a rhythm of silence for Daniel. A single dad in his mid-30s, he had grown used to the whisper of the mop against marble floors and the faint hum of fluorescent lights echoing through the empty corporate building. For everyone else, the company's headquarters was a place of power, money, and prestige, but for Daniel, it was survival. He was just the janitor, unnoticed, invisible, the man who swept away dust and fingerprints while executives slept peacefully in their homes. Daniel had not always been in this position. Once, years ago, he had been a promising student at a prestigious university abroad. Life had seemed filled with opportunities, but everything changed the day his wife passed away unexpectedly. Left with a newborn son and mounting bills, Daniel had been forced to abandon his dreams and return home. Every sacrifice he made afterward was for one person only, his son, Alex. The boy was now 7, bright-eyed and curious, often asking questions about the world his father had once dreamed of conquering. Daniel answered as best he could, hiding the pain that came with the truth. Every evening after tucking Alex into bed at their modest apartment, Daniel made his way to the towering glass building. His mop and bucket became his tools of survival. He moved from floor to floor, unnoticed, by the daytime staff blending into the shadows. To most employees, he was just another face in a uniform, someone to nod at politely but never truly see. But Daniel carried something no one suspected, a secret talent that seemed out of place for a janitor. He was fluent in Japanese. Years earlier, before tragedy struck, he had studied abroad in Tokyo. He had immersed himself in the culture, learned the language with passion, and even dreamed of one day working for a multinational firm bridging cultures. But that dream had dissolved, buried under responsibility and hardship. Now, the language lived quietly inside him, a treasure he never used, a piece of his old self hidden beneath the weight of reality. On a quiet Thursday night, the company building seemed more alive than usual. Daniel noticed it as soon as he entered. Extra cars in the parking lot, lights blazing in the top floor conference room, the smell of fresh catering wafting through the air. Something important was happening. He learned through the whispers of late-working employees that the CEO himself was hosting foreign guests, executives from Japan, here for a high-stakes business deal that could change the future of the company. Daniel paid little attention at first. He knew his place. These gatherings were not for people like him. His job was to make sure the floors gleamed, the trash bins were emptied, and the restrooms smelled fresh. Still, curiosity tugged at him. As he worked his way through the lower levels, he couldn't help but glance at the glass walls of the top floor, where shadows moved and voices rose. Hours passed. The meeting stretched late into the night, and Daniel eventually found himself assigned to clean the lobby outside the conference hall. He worked quietly, humming under his breath, when suddenly voices echoed through the hallway. The door to the conference room had swung open, and a group of suited men and women spilled out, their faces tight with frustration. Among them was the CEO, Mr. Richardson, a tall, imposing figure with silver hair and a reputation for toughness. He was speaking quickly in English, trying to reassure his guests, but the tension was obvious. Daniel froze, his mop halfway across the floor, as he listened. The Japanese executives spoke amongst themselves in hurried tones, their brows furrowed. The translator who stood beside Mr. Richardson stumbled, hesitated, and struggled to keep up. Something was being lost in translation, and Daniel could see it. The widening gap of misunderstanding, the subtle offense taken at mistranslated words, the frustration of the CEO unable to convey respect and sincerity. The Japanese delegation's leader, an older man with sharp eyes and calm authority, finally sighed and shook his head. "Sumimasen," he said softly, disappointment in his tone. They began gathering their papers, clearly ready to leave. Panic flashed across Mr. Richardson's face. Losing this deal could cost the company millions and destroy months of preparation. He pleaded with the translator, who fumbled again, only worsening the situation. And then, as if pulled by something stronger than fear, Daniel stepped forward. He didn't think. He didn't plan. The words slipped out of his mouth before he could stop them. "If you don't mind, may I help?" The hallway went silent. Every head turned toward him. The janitor, mop in hand, bucket beside him, uniform damp from cleaning. The Japanese executives blinked in surprise, and Mr. Richardson stared at him as though he had grown another head. For a moment, no one spoke. Daniel's heart raced, but something inside him steadied. He straightened, bowed slightly, and continued in fluent Japanese. "I overheard the conversation. I believe there may have been a misunderstanding in translation. Please allow me to clarify." The Japanese leader's eyes lit up with curiosity. "You speak Japanese?" he asked, switching languages himself. Daniel nodded. "Yes. I studied in Tokyo for several years. I understand the nuances of your language and culture. Please let me assist in ensuring your message is conveyed with the respect it deserves." The delegation exchanged glances, their frustration softening into interest. They gave a slight nod. "Very well," the leader said. And so, right there in the hallway, with a mop and bucket at his side, Daniel began translating. His voice was calm, precise, and respectful. He explained the CEO's intentions, clarified the meaning behind his words, and bridged the gap that the professional translator could not. Slowly, the tension dissolved. The Japanese executives began to smile, nodding as they listened. Respect returned to their eyes. Mr. Richardson, still stunned, watched in silence as the janitor, his janitor, handled the situation with grace. The deal that had been seconds away from collapse was back on the table, and it was because of the man who usually passed unseen in the halls. When the delegation finally returned to the conference room, Daniel excused himself, bowing politely before stepping back. His hands trembled slightly as he picked up the mop again. For a moment, he wondered if he had crossed a line, if he had made a mistake. But deep down he felt something he hadn't felt in years: pride. Behind him, Mr. Richardson's voice broke the silence. "What was that?" he asked, almost to himself. Then louder, directed at Daniel. "Who are you?" Daniel looked up, unsure of how to respond. He was just a janitor after all. Just a single dad trying to get by. But in that moment, everyone around him saw something more. And though he didn't know it yet, his life, and his son's future, was about to change forever. The next morning, Daniel expected things to return to normal. He arrived in his uniform, mop in hand, ready to be invisible again. But the whispers had already spread through the building. The janitor spoke Japanese to the CEO. Employees murmured, "He saved the deal." Everywhere he went, eyes followed him, not with pity this time, but with curiosity and respect. Mr. Richardson summoned him to the executive office, a place Daniel never imagined setting foot in. Sitting across from the CEO, Daniel felt out of place, but the man's gaze held something different now. Not disdain, not superiority, but admiration. "Last night you saved this company from losing one of the biggest deals in its history," Mr. Richardson said firmly. "You're no ordinary janitor. Tell me your story." Hesitant at first, Daniel opened up about his past, his studies in Tokyo, his dreams, and how tragedy forced him into the role of both father and mother to his son. He spoke about Alex, the reason he worked so hard, the reason he never gave. By the end, the CEO was silent, his stern expression softened. "You have potential we can't waste," Richardson finally said. "From this day forward, you're not just cleaning floors. You'll work with our international team. We need people like you, people with heart, skill, and resilience." Daniel's world shifted in that moment. No longer just the janitor, he was given a chance to climb again, to show his son that even broken dreams could be rebuilt. That night when he returned home, Alex ran into his arms as always. But this time, Daniel held him tighter, whispering, "Things are going to change. For us, buddy. Daddy's going to make you proud." From then on, Daniel balanced his new role with the same humility he carried as a janitor. His colleagues learned that greatness can hide in the most unexpected places. And every time someone saw him walking the halls, not with a mop, but with documents and confidence, they remembered the night the janitor shocked the CEO and proved that no one should ever be underestimated.